Denmark's Queen Margret II resigned suddenly, declared she would never do it. She did resign. Was it a sudden health problem, or is it a possible war in Europe? She had at least 3 COVID-19 vaccines and tested positive for it twice. Suddenly and shortly before the entrance of this year, 2024, which Code Orange predicts that would be one of the most dramatic years in post-war history of the Western world, the Queen of Denmark and sister of Anna Maria Dronning Margret II suddenly announced her abdication. The most interesting thing about her abdication is the fact that she herself had declared many a time that she would never abdicate, implying that only death would deprive her of the crown, as it happened with Queen Elizabeth II of England, after whose death Queen Margaret II was the only reigning queen in the world that had the longest reigning monarch in Europe. So let's make a working case as to who might be the reason that caused the last queen of the world to suddenly abdicate. Here we are, January 2021, when Queen Margaret of Denmark will become the first European leader to publicly receive COVID-19 vaccine. On Friday, Amalienborg police announced that Her Majesty the Queen was vaccinated against COVID-19. The Queen will be revaccinated in about 3 weeks. No photos of that were administered. Now, the announcement makes Margaret the first royal in Europe to acknowledge getting the vaccine. On September 21st, 2022, Queen Margaret of Denmark tested positive for COVID-19 after attending the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, as announced by the royal police. Then Margaret cancelled her official duties of that period, but it was not the first time that the vaccinated Queen Margaret would be found positive for it. The Queen previously tested positive for the virus February 2022. At that time, the palace said she had received 3 doses of COVID vaccine. Having come to power amid declining support for the royals in 1972 after her father's death, she helped restore his position in the decades that followed. At the time, she was the mother of 2 young boys. She now has 8 grandchildren. She was the first woman to become queen of one of Europe's oldest monarchies. The Queen, affectionately known as Daisy and known for her artistic streak, has been hailed for unifying and modernizing the monarchy during her 50-year reign, increasing her support from 45% when she took the throne to more than 3/4 of Denmark, making it one of the most popular monarchies in the world. A painter who illustrated the Danish version of The Lord of the Rings in 2002, as well as a costume and set designer, Margaret was working with the Royal Danish Ballet and the Royal Danish Theatre and has been involved in the Danish cultural scene. Widowed in 2018, Margaret was repeatedly insisting she will never step down, and yet suddenly the Queen announced that she would abdicate and be succeeded by her son, Prince Frederik, who had recently been involved in an extramarital affair, had made headlines in the relevant media. So what is it that made the last queen of the world to abdicate, and not only that, but hand over her reign to her exposed son, causing tremors in the throne of Denmark? There are reports boiling down the 2 possible causes. One is the suffering, even a generalized war that Europe could experience within 2024, and the second equally possible version in a serious sudden burden of of her health. And as we are in the middle of of what's going on due to global debt and considering the deep state agendas, there's no reason to inform the good Queen of the consequences of what could be going on. Anyway, this is evolving, and we'll be back with more use of this. This I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.